The book I read was Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, and the genre is realistic fiction. The setting of the book is in the 1930s during the Great Depression era. I wasn't 100% positive on the exact location, so I looked it up and apparently it is the south of Soledad in California. On page 4 of the book it reads, "The first man was small and quick, dark of face, with restless eyes and sharp, strong features. Every part of him was defined. Small, strong hands, slender arms, a thin and bony nose. Behind him walked his opposite, a huge man, shapeless of a face, with large, pale eyes with wide, sloping shoulders. And he walked heavily, dragging his feet a little, the way a bear drags his paws. His arm did not swing at his sides, but hung loosely." In this paragraph it describes George as the first man, and Lenny as the second man. Some of the characters' typical behavior included George being the smart one. He was always taking the lead on things, and he was speaking for Lenny because Lenny seemed to have a childlike mind where he only interpreted certain things and he forgot to do certain things. For example, George instructed Lenny not to speak during one of their job interviews or the first day of work type of thing, where halfway through the interview Lenny started speaking and almost ruined it for them because he says things that he's not supposed to say, which could ruin the chance of things because both George and Lenny needed the job. My interpretation on the theme is that the American dream is not all that it seems to be. I think this because at the beginning of the book, George was telling Lenny about how they were going to go off and they were going to buy a big house with a farm and all the rabbits that Lenny could possibly want. But that's not what happened. By the end of the book, everything had gone mad and their life's plan was no longer possible. The main conflict or problem of this book is Lenny. Overall, Lenny is not very responsible. He can't think for himself, he can't be on his own, and this causes a lot of conflict in the book because George has to always be looking out for him, but when George isn't there and George has to go do something else, Lenny has to make decisions for himself, which doesn't always turn out well. For me, the ending of this book was shocking and predictable, and by that I mean you knew something was coming and you knew it was involved with Lenny being childlike and immature. The interesting prop I used or made was this mouse I made out of origami. It kind of looks like a mouse. I tried. I chose this prop because I wanted to mention a scene about a mouse, and also the title of this book is Of Mice and Men, and that is for a purpose. At the very beginning of this book, George and Lenny are walking. Lenny bends over and picks up a mouse and puts it in his pocket. George confronts Lenny and asks him what he has, and Lenny has a dead mouse in his pocket. He claims that he did not hurt the mouse and he just wanted to stroke it as they were walking. George confiscates the mouse from Lenny, and multiple times after that, Lenny keeps bringing it back up, saying he's going to leave because he wants to be able to do whatever he wants, and he keeps referring to the fact that if he were on his own, he would have been able to keep the mouse. This is a big factor in the book because you can tell that Lenny has good potential and he has overall good thoughts, but they're not always well thought out, and things could end in disaster. I'd recommend for anyone to read Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck because it's a great book that I couldn't put down.